I need to tell you something that might upset you. It probably goes against everything you've heard in this industry. But if you're really fed up with trying to heal and when it doesn't work, this video might save you. In my own healing journey, I did everything right year after year. But no matter what I did, I got worse. And it wasn't that the tools that I used, that they were not really working. I mean, they were kind of all right. But the problem was not with that. The problem was with me, the one that was using the tools. There's a good chance that you might be making the exact same mistake. Because the problem is that you're trying to heal. And that is what is keeping you stuck. Let me paint you a picture. In the morning when you wake up, you check in with your symptoms. You are already thinking about what you could do this day. You have to use a release tool or a meditation first to calm down your nervous system. Maybe you do some tapping. Maybe you do some journaling. Yet, after implementing that, you might feel worse than before you started. Because the things that you have been doing is not really about healing. It's more hypervigilance wearing a wellness mask. Every tool that you've learned so far will in the end eventually fail you. And that's a very good thing, because that leads you to the next very critical point. And that is the moment that you decide to stop, to give up. And before you think that I'm saying that EFT and somatic release practices and some calming down tools, that they don't work, well, they absolutely work. The problem is not with that. The problem is with you. The thing is, you would probably like to run back to the version that you have created of yourself to not feel your emotions. So in order to heal, you have to release these emotions. But if you're doing that in an attempt to become the person again that is created as a trauma response to not feel your emotions, for example, by achieving, performing, pleasing, this typical type A personality, then we are sort of creating a paradox. You want to release your emotions to go back to the person that doesn't want to feel their emotions. That doesn't work. And that doesn't mean that you won't be able to have releases. You probably can. You can probably connect every day with an emotion, cry a little bit, maybe feel a little bit better temporarily. But the real emotions, probably you won't really manage that, because you will be connecting with secondary emotions. Think about the frustration of not being able to live your life, the sadness of having a chronic illness. And as long as you don't really work on the primary emotion that is causing these symptoms, these problems, these secondary emotions will come back again and again and again and again. This brings us to what we're trying to achieve with our clients. And honestly, it's going to sound completely backwards. Have you ever heard of the famous philosopher Alan Watts? He said that one cannot improve itself, because the self that is trying to improve the self is the actual problem. We are not sick trying to eventually reach a place of health. It doesn't work that way, because the act of reaching already indicates that you will never have it. Eventually, you'll need to stop reaching and trying to grab what is already there. In this moment. Right here. Right now. Even though you don't like certain things. Because only when you accept this moment and when you actually work with everything that is already here, can things expand? Can you calm down your nervous system? Can you relax? Can you breathe? And exactly that is the moment where you start healing. I remember one day I was completely afraid of the Epstein-Barr virus. I had so many supplements with antivirals and a daily routine of everything that I needed to take. And then on a day with good weather, I completely forgot about it. In fact, I forgot about it for 3 days. And in these 3 days, I was just enjoying myself. I was relaxing. I was enjoying the sunshine. And I felt so much better. And from that day on, I never took any antiviral. I threw away all my supplements. And I no longer believed in anything that people told me. In fact, most of the times when people gave me advice or when someone on the internet gave me advice, I started doing the exact opposite. You have to try that. It actually works. In order to stop trying to heal, we have to accept this very moment. That also means that the trauma personality, the type A personality that you have created, has to accept the inevitable, namely that it has lost. Breathe through it. Accept that you have lost. That will calm down your nervous system because you're no longer trying to fight or to hide or to run away from something. You let the very emotion come over you. Maybe that feels a bit overwhelming. Maybe that feels scary. But only after that, after surrendering, can you actually feel probably the exact emotion. And then, after maybe just 90 seconds of crying, the storm has passed, and you might feel a lot better. Okay, so here's what we're doing with our clients. They are usually not at that point. They are eagerly trying to learn and master and perfect all the tools. And then at one point in the program, we recommend them or tell them to actually take a break, to enjoy themselves and forget about everything. Usually the tools from the beginning part of the program, they're sort of like natural habits and some emergency tools for when things get really bad that can allow you to feel better, to feel calmer, and to actually arrive in that place where you can enjoy yourself. And then the magic happens. Then we hope that people automatically arrive at the point where they don't give a shit about healing anymore, where they let the program loose or don't think about it, hopefully for a few weeks. And then sometimes I receive messages from people that the program didn't work because they have arrived at a point where they don't want to heal anymore. And that made them feel a lot better. And then I am replying and I'm saying this is exactly where we wanted you to arrive. This is not a strategy. Because if this would be a strategy, it would be, again, a type A personality goal that you can implement to fix yourself. Yet, there is nothing to fix. If you arrive in the present moment, and if you start enjoying yourself, your nervous system will wind down, hormones will change, and you might feel a lot better. And this is probably 50% of the healing work. And I mean, that's massive. Only when you're not white-knuckling yourself on your way to wellness can your body relax. And exactly at that moment, is it safe enough for the underlying emotions to arise. And when they do, you might feel overwhelmed. You might get some symptoms. And it is exactly in those moments that people can use the release tools. And not in an obsessive way. Therefore, I recommend people to only use it for around 30 minutes maximum a day. If it doesn't work that after that, forget about it. Tomorrow is another day. But doing it this way, in a way that you don't really care anymore, the release tool can become really efficient. Also, when you have given up on this personality that wants to hold everything, that wants to have a status or be a kind of person, when you give up about that, can you actually go into the exact emotions that that personality, that old personality, was trying to avoid? They can feel safe and they can be heard and they can be felt. And at that moment, it really feels like you have lost, but maybe only 30 minutes. And then after that, you feel so much lighter. You will see that using the language of the mind is usually the problem. We need to get out of our minds, more physical. And especially when you have mastered the intuitive connection with your body, where you really listen to yourself, where you ask yourself questions, you'll notice that healing is like learning another language. And that's what a lot of our clients are saying. And it's beautiful. I know that trying to stop feels terrifying, especially for the type A personality. You need to accept that you have lost. And when you have a chronic illness, it's time to realize that you have lost. And only after that can you start a new game, a better game. And to start that game, I made a guided meditation, Rest and Surrender Like a Baby. I put the links below, and there are several guided meditation. And this one is really beautiful, and I recommend you to do it. And hopefully I'll bring you to that state. So I wish you a beautiful healing journey. Thanks for being here.